Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Hello, everybody,
and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. I'm so sorry for the abrupt introduction. I don't know what came over me. I'm Colton Robertson, and this is the Sarlacc Soundwave. I guess I'm just really excited about the Book of Boba Fett right now. This episode was top notch.
Is it the Sarlacc Soundwave anymore?
Certified banger.
I think the Sarlacc Soundwave is more appropriate than ever.
I agree. I think we have
we've hit a gold mine. Like, if people just knew that this has been the name of the show the whole time, like, what are the fucking odds that it's an actual sound wave that murders the Sarlacc?
Colton, what the audience doesn't know is that we talk to George Lucas every single week before the podcast.
We are so deep in our bag, they just don't even give us the credit. They don't even know.
He came to us and you know, we pitched some ideas to him, and he was like, Sarlacc Soundwave. We didn't have it in there. We're killing the Sarlacc with the Soundwave. Great idea.
We have never been more credible as a podcast, and we are getting no love for it, and I am sick of it. You know what, Joseph? We just need one of your millions of future 1,000 million odd guesses to just three of those things, just bang, 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 and all of a sudden,
sadly,
to the moon.
Sadly,
I think I got one for Star Wars.
That's
kind of to an Ultron level.
So.
Your series-long bet hasn't paid off so far.
I'm joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you, and I'm excited to hear your theories now as to where this might be headed. We obviously just did a little bit of a Boba Fett's halftime heat check over on patreon.com/CoroBloom, just me and Joe. We had some free time, and we were hype on the new episode, so we just hopped on and went over the first half of the season. Sadly, you two weren't there. You weren't invited. Miles Buttress, what's up, homie?
I guess I'll go fuck myself.
Fuck yourself. Hello, Kyler Barnett. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I won't make the same mistake that guy made.
Hey, guys. Nah, y'all are
okay.
busy. Y'all are at the moment busier.
I can't even. I literally can't even click the leave button, Colton.
No, you're stuck here with me.
You were trapped. This is the cushioned room we spoke about in the Patreon. This podcast is that. You were here for a year, and if you succeed, you make $1 billion.
Yeah, and you've heard how chaotic this first 2.5 minutes is to a Book of Boba Fett podcast. So just imagine what is on patreon.com/CoroBloom. Go ahead and check it out.
We got into the intricacies of childhood dreams. I don't remember that really, but hey, maybe a little. We can't ever go a full hour without at least one time something like that coming up.
But yeah, so it's the Book of Boba Fett. It's chapter 4. It's The Gathering Storm, written by Jon Favreau, directed by Kevin Tenchorin. I have no idea how to pronounce that name. Tenchorin. I feel bad now.
Tangerine. I think it's Tangerine.
What do we got? Original air date January 19th, 2022. And I mean, this is about as good as it gets, boys.
No, this just really from this, and no coincidence here, I guess. But this took me back to it's been so long since I've watched a Mandalorian, and especially obviously, I haven't watched Mandalorian since the show ended or the last season ended.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't. This was that in the middle of the actual series going on, you're waiting weekly for the episode. That level of hypeness I would have for Mando. The end of this episode, where they left it, and just what we saw, and just in the middle of the episode, it was just peak, that feeling. And Mandalorian was probably one of the first shows that I was appointment television watching weekly. I had never done it before. I had never had to.
Mm-hmm.
I never really either A, gotten into any show like that, and B, streaming just makes that pretty damn impossible, with most of these shows. So just having that feeling back was like, man, like this is so fucking fun. I love this shit so much. And
Oh,
just
it's so good. And let me tell you, when I heard at the end of that episode, you hear I was like, oh fuck yeah. I was
dude,
like,
in the quote,
I was Howie in Uncut Gems. I was Adam Sandler. Oh my god, I'm gonna come.
This is how I win.
Yeah, like that shit was fantastic. Miles, how'd you feel about the episode?
Enjoyed it. Loved our just spot on accuracy that we have with everything we do. All of our guesses turn out correct. We've never been wrong before. We're not going to start now.
Anytime we're wrong, you imagined it.
Yeah, well, anytime we've been wrong, it was because we got it so right. They edited the episode to make us wrong.
They were like, dude, these dudes are calling all of our shots, man. We can't be having this. It makes us
like having this. The bitches 4 know it all.
Yeah, so they've been so mad that we got right so many times.
The real key to this,
the episode.
The real key to this is Joseph being a sentient being of some kind, I think.
I'm sorry, boys.
Miles, do you have a fucking katana in your hand right now?
It's just a sword.
Oh, okay.
Just a sword. Yeah, nothing beyond that.
Nothing major or anything.
I looked in my.
He's waiting for the Hat Man to show up, and then it's just slicing dice.
More Hat Man content on patreon.com/CoroBloom. Joe,
good
plug.
The
episode all in all.
This was my favorite of the season. I think this was
high praise.
Just a excitement all around. There's so many cool things that happened this episode. Moments that we'll be referring to, I'd assume, for the rest of the season. It feels like, last episode we kind of thought we were getting into the war and like that's when it was going to start, but this episode kind of ended the same way as episode 3. So who really knows when this war is going on, but like I don't care if it's content like this.
The content we're getting is going to keep being so gas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was incredible.
What I think was awesome to see was like the way that they balanced with all the flashback stuff, I guess, and then the current stuff, like that was the best balance of like everything on top of tying it into something we had already seen. We're seeing from a new perspective. I mean, that's always going to warrant the hype train just coming full steam ahead. I mean, anytime you hear that theme that Colton pointed out, you see the flares in the desert and you know exactly that just switch flips in your mind and you're like, holy fucking shit. Like we're in
that the angle of his boots with his robe dragging behind him as he approached Jabba's palace and it was like, oh, this is familiar. Why is it familiar? And then you see the flares and you're like, oh, that's why it's familiar. And even the musical cue in that moment when he's walking up to Jabba's palace is much more Mandalorian than it has been Book of Boba Fett.
I love the context we get for a lot of those moments. I mean, like I said, seeing it from a different perspective than what we got it in when we saw it the first time. But also, like, we knew Fennec Shand had become like a bionic, like part robot metallic person. Bad phrasing there, but I
Cyborg.
mean, yeah, and to see that process take place, super small moment from that episode, and one that I feel like will easily get lost in like the translation of just how much happened. But dude, that scene was fucking amazing. It was so cool, and fuck, I didn't expect like hydraulics and fluids to have to be like pumped. I assumed she maybe had like working like organs and shit still, but like to know that this is all that shit is being replaced by metal. And there is a person on this planet that can do that shit. I mean, that is awesome. I just thought like little things like that, like getting perspective for things we already knew or had already seen, just from a different point of view or a different context, was just that did a lot for me.
I love that it showed her waking up like immediately afterwards, and like it showed that like, what the fuck did you do to me, dude?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't know how I'd feel about that.
What am I looking at? Oh, I'm looking at myself.
Oh my! That's my stomach.
God, like.
Also loved that it kind of like set the timeline for like his like flashbacks. Like we've fully caught up now to the flashbacks, so I don't know how many more we're gonna get.
I don't think we will. He's done with the Bacta tank too.
Yeah,
you are fully healed.
And so I thought that was cool. The fact that it like showed. So like I think that kind of shows he was in there for like in the Sarlacc pit for a minute. Like he was in there
I think it expresses that he was with the Tuskens a lot longer than they let
Well,
on.
I think it's a little
Colton,
bit of
I think
both.
it was
Both
you
think
that
he was
liked the
with
tweet about it, but I think, I don't know, it talked about like 5 years or something, like maybe, or something along that time frame, and that like that's what made like him going after the people that got rid of the Tuskens, like made it mean that, like it exemplifies the relationship that he had and the connection with the Tuskens.
Yeah, so the thing is that the Mandalorian has always been said to be 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And I just don't think he was in the Sarlacc for long. Like, it's not feasible to me.
Yeah, you can't figure he'd have lasted all that long in there.
It was
max,
a day
I
at
think
max
like
weeks.
two,
Like,
I think that was the whole thing. That's why she said like the Beskar protected you. Because normally
because
things
everyone
well, then he
away
woke
from
up
it,
and
then-
got out of the Sarlacc. It's
No,
not like
because if
he
you
went in
fall
there
in
and
there-
passed out into a coma.
Yeah, you
I
pass
think
out
that's
with
what
no armor
happened.
on. You just die because the acid just kills you. But without the armor, you're just chilling there. It's just not fun to be there. But
No, the acid kills you,
there.
but it also like that. Like I mentioned it before, the Sarlacc like keeps you alive. It doesn't just like kill you immediately.
Food
It keeps you
and water. He's still. He's still.
But this is like weird. Star
Space
Wars
science.
creature.
Dude,
Yeah.
He was in there for a couple days, maybe.
I think he was in there for a while, and then was also. With
I really think he just got knocked unconscious
for a while. What's the time frame you're thinking for him?
Like
being
in there, like I'm not saying in there for like 3 years. I'm saying like I think he was in there for like a couple months.
Okay.
And that's why. And that's
I've
why
taken it as
look at his skin. His skin is like somewhat chewed away, even though he has like full Beskar on.
That's true. That's something
that
his
not
skin,
gonna.
his skin like got worse and worse as he was in the desert. And it was just
that's true.
Dry. Like it was just getting
but he came out looking gross.
Well, yeah,
because the acid had like gotten underneath.
I mean,
the
you're
Beskar.
down there for 30 minutes. You're gonna come out looking.
This is such an unwinnable argument that we are arguing about the intricacies of something that is just
and it's like not
know.
really like it doesn't even need to be an argument. If you think he was in there for months,
Yeah.
then that's cool. I think he was in there for 2 days.
No,
and
I'm right, and you are
I think
wrong.
he was in there for 2 days, and then he was with the Tuskens for 4 years.
Miles is just the most cold hard line. Like he is just like always in that, just like nope, it is fucking this way or that way. There is no
my way,
gray area.
and you are wrong.
No, he was in the Sarlacc for 5 years, and the Tuskens was over just the span of a week that he did everything with. He just dominated the world.
And that's the thing is that like until this episode, I thought everything with the Tuskens was occurring really, really in sequence. Apparently, there's time gaps, like pretty big time jumps at points in between these flashbacks. Because I was under the impression going into this episode, we'd watched like a few months of his time with the Tuskens. I didn't know that it had been 5 fucking years. But Joe pointed this out to me the other day, like being accepted into the Tuskens cannot be a quick process. There's no way they're like, you've been here with us for a month. You're kind of cool. Let's get you robed up, man. Like there's just no way that's happening.
In all fairness, the getting accepted into the Tuskens did happen quickly though, because he went from, being a slave to he killed that, centaur thing.
But how long was he training before they officially dubbed him?
I'm saying like he was training for a couple months. I'm saying that he was probably a slave for a good portion of that.
Yeah, I mean,
became like we won't, make you dig for, watermelons anymore. And then it was and then he trained for a while.
Of how like what they actually did, and like whenever you see like the little itty bitty stick that he started with training, and like he like puts that down like after he burns them all after like they're all dead or whatever, like it just like from that little stick to his like fully formed, like him being robed that night, like the ceremony night, like that was like from that point I see it definitely being like 4 years at least. Like it just makes sense. Like he was just learning their ways, learning the ways of the desert and like building respect among them. And then these big moments that we saw, we're only seeing them because we're like reliving this through Boba's mind while he's in the Bacta tank. So obviously he's not going to remember the boring times of where he's just digging for melons or, time's just passing. He's going to remember the big things that are happening to him.
And I think also, I think also is like the thing to think about is like, if to get deeper, I guess, if possible, I mean, all just, skeptic / hearsay, I guess here. But, I mean, Boba's not one I feel like to gravitate, at least not prior to develop or be drawn to a relationship or any sort of emotion. I mean, that could only happen with time, in my opinion, especially given the way that relationship, at least from what we've seen and can assume, the way it started, where he's essentially a prisoner and not exactly treated fantastically
Right.
to start with. I feel like for that to come full circle, that can only happen with time. And kind of like Joe said, is like Boba earning and gaining that respect with them on top of like him giving it back and forgiving essentially. I mean, that's not something that he's going to do just like, nah, yeah, fuck it. Like, I'll just.
And
like,
I don't think we've given the Tusken Raiders like the relationship Boba formed with the Tusken Raiders, but beyond a perspective of where they accepted him and he protected them and they protected him, sort of point of view. Like, these are probably the first people to accept him and bring him in.
Well, and I think part of that
and-
stems from. Yeah, and I think part of that stems from also just like not using or seeing him as like, I to an extent, yes. I mean, they saw him as a means of protection to a degree. I won't downplay that, I guess, entirely. However, I mean, he's worked for hire his entire life up to this point. I mean, that's not nothing. I mean, for once to have like, oh, hey, like these people kind of like have taken me in.
Absolutely.
Without any
No,
real like, I'm not having to like do much for them other than like save my life on like, oh yeah, you guys get saved too, but like ultimately I would die too if I don't stop this shit. So I mean, like I said, I don't feel like that's nothing, but you know, hey, like I said.
Oh no, I'm absolutely with you. It's definitely not nothing. Like I don't think he's felt like a part of a group ever. Like I don't think that's ever happened to him.
And I think
He's
part of
only
that
been
also
hired
stems
over
with the
and
way,
over.
especially this episode, the way that you hear him talk about like this house, this family he is trying to create and, you know, build.
Loyalty.
I don't think that he has those views or feels that way, or, you know, we've seen him take a little more gentler route. I hate to say gentle because, I mean, he'll still,
We haven't really seen
More
much of
hesitant.
No, he
Boba,
is a blood crazed
is the
monster.
thing.
He has no
We
feeling.
don't know that though. Like, we've just only seen him in the moments where he would be a bounty hunter and a killing machine. We've never seen a moment where Boba had to ever have a conversation, really. So, like, the most we got is no disintegrations. Oh, okay, that's the,
Nah,
like,
but
the
I mean,
deepest
like,
we
I
get.
think there's
Like,
the assumption that Boba Fett was a stone cold killer until these events. Like, I think that his time with the Tuskens drastically changes his perspective on life entirely, and then, you know, when he realizes what he wants to do, it probably wasn't immediate. You know, like, it probably was over the course of the time watching how the Tuskens live and stuff that he was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this shit a shot. You know, I'm gonna find my armor.
He sees the benefit in like partnership / like cooperation, I guess. I mean, I'm lacking for a true solid term there, but, and I don't have this specific quote, but he says something specifically to not only Fennec, but also again when they're all sitting down around the table with all of these different people that he wants to kind of like be in the
Form
house
alliances
with him.
with.
He is reflecting that. Like, I feel like that is definite like change or growth or of some kind. Like, that is not like, I don't feel like we would see that ordinarily, but the Tuskens kind of showed him that whole side of the coin, and it's like, man, I really don't have to do this shit all alone. There is a benefit to doing this.
And I mean, on top of that, you know, like when he's saying stuff like, I'm tired of working for people who are going to get me killed. You know where that stems from?
Darth
His
Vader.
dad working for someone that got his head cut off.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have a very good past, you know. He doesn't have the happiest past, you could say.
I mean,
No,
he
certainly
picked
not.
up
Are you
his
guys
dad's. He picked up his dad's head. Who cares?
You guys ready for a scene by scene?
Absolutely.
That
Let's do
also
this.
another scene where really he did pick his dad's head up, but they got mad that we called it out, changed it, went back, edited everything that anyone had ever seen to fix it so we would
they
be wrong.
mind wiped us with a secret code that was projected over the world speakers.
Well, we know what code it was.
We don't remember it anymore.
No, we do know what code it was. It was the George Lopez theme song. They played that. It gave them access to our memories. They mind wiped us. Then they went on.
Man,
on that, I'm
you
picking
aren't
on that
listening to the
Buffalo Bloom.
Patreon. You really got to listen to that shit because
You're really confused as to what's going on.
This episode.
There's too many callbacks, and y'all don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But
You should.
let's start. You know, the episode opens with Boba Fett inside his back to tank, where he's looking at some flashbacks. You know, wandering the deserts of Tatooine on his bantha, and man, love the shots of Boba on a bantha. Those are always fucking amazing.
Like a
But,
bantha.
I love this fucking bantha.
Yeah,
I
well,
love
and
Bantha.
also on top of that, I think it just
Space
like
dogs.
further. I just really
dogs.
love the like humanization, I guess I'll say, of Boba with animals and creatures specifically. There is
Mhm.
such a like respect in like just general
It's a respect for
like
life.
love. Yeah, and that's crazy because like we just kind of touched on is like he has not much reason to really feel or think that way. And I mean, we also do see this man drop a fucking sonic bomb inside of a Sarlacc, but like that thing fucking
Wait,
sucks. So like,
see
that
what I
doesn't
mean?
count.
Whenever he killed that like dog lizard thing for the first time, that was
He didn't
before
kill
the
it.
Tuskens like changed him or whatever. But he was like oh, like rest easy now or whatever. He was already that nice before the Tuskens, so he wasn't just this stone cold whatever. You know, he had that before. You know, like so like. We don't know a whole lot about Boba, you know. Like, we can't just assume that he's just been this stone cold, doesn't care about anything. Like, he could be a Din, you know.
Well,
that
then
has
what
the
are you
reputation.
waiting for then? Like, are you waiting for further flashbacks confirming he wasn't an angry little shit
No.
from the time his dad got killed?
Also,
and was
no,
angry
we
as
do
fuck
know
the
he
whole
was an
time?
angry little shit from the Clone Wars. He literally was trying to like set bombs on.
Okay.
Um,
Mace Windu and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, I
He respects like living beings that he doesn't think needs to be
Hey
killed.
man,
But he's still
that's
100%
just
there to take
adolescence.
revenge.
You didn't try to bomb someone when you were a teenager.
You
Come
didn't
on,
try
we
to
were
bomb
all
the
that
guy who
age.
beheaded your father.
No,
But,
Yeah,
So,
you know, I
was
see it.
I was creating some napalm as a 10-year-old. What are you talking about? I had to use it on the
you're on
snowman.
a watch list now.
I had to use it on the snowman that haunted my dreams. Also,
More on that on patreon.com/Bloom. But on to the third sentence of the episode breakdown.
We are so
You see,
so horribly great at
God,
this.
could you imagine if
Weird.
if Tillman was in this?
Oh,
This
it'd
would
be a
be bad.
disaster.
I was thinking about that whenever you
We'd
said
be
having
going
5
on
people.
forever, dude.
I don't know if I'm.
Yeah,
much
I was
better,
worried
though.
about it
Am
when
I, am
I
I
posed the
actually
idea of
better
5
in that
people.
regard?
No,
Because
I
it's
mean like
Oh, yeah, no, that'd be
it'd be chaos. It'd be chaos. I was like, I shouldn't have even offered it.
and I can't wait for it. It's gonna it has to
It
happen.
will happen. It will happen eventually. All 5 of us will be here, and it'll be a first reunion. First
We'll turn a
union.
1-hour episode into like 2.5 hours of speaking.
Shooting the shit.
We
Yeah.
are so good at that
Um,
already. Like, I just am so fearful for the day that comes.
1 minute later, on to the third sentence of the episode breakdown. But you see him sometime after the Tusken clan has been wiped out by the Kintan Striders, and Boba rides to the late Jabba's palace and to investigate the last place he left his ship. And peering through the scope of his rifle, he sees a few Nikto guards and a couple of Gamorreans passively patrolling, just kind of like wandering, not even really going anywhere in particular, just walking. And heading back to his bantha, he sighs and tells her that there's still too many guards. And so he heads back to the dunes where he's sitting at a campfire under the stars. All romantic like. He's just a cutie out there.
3 moons, by the way. Like, did we ever know that before this? That Tatooine has 3 moons, or were those moons, or like?
Yes, those were moons. I'm assuming, like the
Is
and
that
the way they
first
look
time we
like
saw
little.
that? Yeah, like maybe like the first time. Obviously, they wouldn't line up like that every night or whatever. Like they probably have different orbit paths, whatever. But like, I don't think I've ever seen the
At least-
moons on Tatooine.
I don't think so
you know?
either. At least not in live action. Certainly not.
Well,
We haven't really seen that many night times on Tatooine.
Anakin going to the Raiders to the
Mhm.
Tuskens, but I don't.
Well,
like,
and
I-
those
They
that
don't
we
really
did,
show
they
this.
weren't showing like
Yeah.
the sky.
Yeah,
They're showing
right.
like what's
because when he was
happening.
on his way out, it was sunset. I
Yeah.
I remember that part vividly because that's one of the most beautiful shots in the movie. But
Yeah, there's that, and then the Obi-Wan
Followed by
killing Maul,
absolute
and that's
fucking
it.
genocide.
This
Yeah.
was one of my screenshots though that I took during like the episode. Like a good shot was just him at the campfire with the bantha, like at night. Oh, it was like, oh,
What are
yeah,
the?
he shares his food.
Oh
with the
yeah,
bantha.
You know, I love these banthas. They look so robotic, though.
Oh no, yeah, like that's a giant puppet.
And
it looks
like,
and I'm okay
I love
with
that they're adding it, and I'm okay with it. But at the same time, every time I see it, I'm like, I love it, but it's like, come on, Disney.
well, even that, even
they
the,
could
even
do
the
better.
Rancor, even the
keeping it classic
Rancor
to
is
the original
practical, or at
trilogy.
least in some scenes is practical. Maybe when it was just sleeping in the last episode, on the cart or whatever, when it was subdued. But I mean, that was practical too, because I don't know if you guys saw this picture of
Trejo?
Tamara and Trejo standing in front of it, but that was sick. That was a cool shot.
they just want to honor the original trilogy. Like, obviously, we can make a fully CG bantha that
I'm
looks
not
way
saying
better.
do like a fully CG'd. I'm just saying, like, I feel like even like doing like the puppets and all that stuff, it could look a little bit better.
But we saw banthas look like they do now whenever the original trilogy came out. So canonically,
Okay. And I understand that.
you know,
but,
it's just
but
this is
we
what
have,
style do you want to go
better
with? Yeah.
technology than this original
Yeah,
trilogy.
you know, the Trandoshans don't look like Bosk did in Empire Strikes Back.
Part of me
and,
wonders
you know,
though, what is the
lightsabers
cost
and stuff
analysis
look better
on
than
that?
they did back then too. So it's like you can improve stuff and have it still look good
Well,
and look similar to how it used to.
Part of me
without
wonders what
using all
the
CGI.
budget calls for in that sense. Like this, I can't imagine that building a practical any of those or a robotic one is not going to be a cheaper option to rendering literally millions of particles to create this guy.
No, and I get that if it's like something, you know, if like the spider crawler, you know, monk things, like those show up one time, I'm okay with that looking, you know, kind of funky looking because it shows up one time. But like whenever you have something that's going to continue to show up, you can spend a little bit of money on it. Like it's like the Rancor. I would assume at the point where we get it like doing stuff, they're going to spend some money to make it look good.
Fair, you know. But I did love watching this bantha's big fake fucking tongue move around in its mouth as it was asking for the asking for the food.
That was the one part.
There's a guy.
That part pushed me over the edge.
I just imagine there's a guy with like a tongue on his helmet, and he is just like moving around inside the mouth just to make that look right. Hey, props to that guy. Kudos to that guy.
That made me go from this, you know, like I hate how dumb this looks to being like this looks dumb, but I enjoy it. I'm okay with it looking something somewhat dumb because of its stupid little tongue just sticking out as it.
But you know, as he's sitting there, he notices a couple of flares in the distance, and when him and the bantha arrive at the site, finds an unconscious and dying Fennec Shand. Shot we saw in The Mandalorian. I was like, ha, fuck yes. Yeah, baby. And then I was like,
remember all the wild theories
close.
we had as to who that was?
Yep.
And
well, I think Boba Fett was the leading theory.
We heard this first and we were like Boba Fett. Like we were on Boba Fett right away. Yeah.
Okay. I thought we had like some.
We've had some outlandish shit, but I don't know if that was the one.
No, I do
we
remember.
had some outlandish shit about who Boba Fett was working for, and therein what Fennec Shand would become.
Yeah, I knew that, but I thought we had some initial watch of like the first podcast we did after the fact. I thought we had some outlandish as to who that might have been, and I don't remember.
I had a theory that fucking Boba worked for Moff Gideon, and Boba was coming to get Fennec Shand because she was going to be the Force, the person who was able to take on the Force capabilities, like in her clone cell, like. And I was like, but that very quickly fell apart in season 2.
Hey, and look what it got us—a whole nother.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy about it. Much happier about it than what they would have done with my idea. But you know, Boba rides with Fennec hitched over the bantha. Another couple beautiful shots here to a mod parlor on the outskirts of Mos Eisley, where he sees a bunch of the youths hanging around outside the entrance, and he carries Fennec into the building where we see a couple of other modded kids and Thundercat.
I love that there is like no like the thing he thinks of is like no hospital, no actual real medical attention. He just takes Fennec to like a glorified like intergalactic tattoo parlor, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty outstanding. But Thundercat being the person doing the modding, he's so fucking funny, and like the run of guest appearances that the Book of Boba Fett has had is fucking absurd. Also in this scene, we get Cooper Na Wen, who is Ming Na Wen's son. Yeah, Trenton popped up. Trenton's here. He's on mute though.
Yeah, these guest appearances though have been I don't know. Disney knows what they're doing.
Oh no, and I think a lot of that. Cool I love that a lot of that probably stems from just actors and celebrities really wanting their time in the sunshine with Star Wars content. It's like, this is such a brilliant way to integrate them into the Star Wars universe in such a, like, I hate to say smaller, because the movies, being in the movies, TV shows makes no difference to me as a fan. Like, I give them equal, like, spots in my heart, I guess you could say, or whatever, however you want to phrase that.
Doesn't really make a difference.
But like, I mean, you look at a character like Bill Burr. Is that someone that's probably going to get featured in a movie in any meaningful way? No, but he gets like a reoccurring part, essentially. I mean, 2 episodes, but still, in Mandalorian. I mean, do you think he didn't just
2 very important episodes
absolutely relish that chance? I mean, you're talking about actors who probably have their kids loving Mandalorian, having Baby Yoda, Grogu, like, stuffed animals and shit all over their room. And, like, this is a chance for you to put yourself in front of that screen for them.
I wonder if you star in Star Wars, do you get discounts on like Baby Yoda plushies?
New rule.
Well, they've got plenty of them for you. It's pretty much the only Star Wars merch you can find in Target. It's kind of like, man, I see that you have a whole bunch of racks here for action figures, and one of them has 2 on it. But I see a whole bunch of Grogu plushies.
Yeah. Trenton was mad I wouldn't let him because you guys were in the middle of like having a real conversation. I was like, no, you're just gonna butt in and not know what.
Thank God you didn't let him speak.
Yeah. So he was like, they want to talk to me. I was like, no, they don't, Timo.
Not right now.
Colton does not want you to jump in on the conversation.
No, we've already had a chaotic enough episode. We don't need a whole sidetrack with Timo. But Thundercat gives Boba some shit here. He's like, you're too old to be in a place like this. And Boba's like, well, Fennec here, she needs some fucking help. And she's like, you don't have a fucking appointment. Come back later. And Boba's like, she's dying. Do the right thing. And here's a bunch of credits.
Could have started with that.
You could have started with that. And then, he does his fucking thing. It's super dope watching him do this shit. One of the best scenes in the whole show so far for me.
I mean, this is like borderline. I'm not going to put it in terms of like the feeling, the emotion, and like seeing this unfold as like on par. But I mean, like I guess the technicality of what is happening, like this is like, we've seen this, with Vader. Yeah. I mean, I guess you've seen like a limb, 1 or 2 limbs get like put on to someone, but I mean, this is like a total reworking of someone's central bodily system.
Like, where all of their
like his hand tool thing. Yeah, his like hand like
is what everyone would do if they like. If I was given the option, I don't want some like weird robot eye or anything stupid like that. Cut it off at the elbow, and then give me like the Omni tool.
Answer the question.
Give me the
Is Fennec shitting?
I was thinking this. Like, is that fluid her like blood, or is it like her piss, or is it like her? What's the? Blood. Is it just to like lubricate all the whatever? Because some of it was blue, or like I guess.
No, I think that's definitely.
That's a myth, I think that blood is blue. I don't think that's actually true. Like before it hits
what, have you ever seen
or whatever. No, I think it's just your veins are green.
You ever been inside someone's body?
No, I haven't.
You ever magic school bus this shit?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you didn't have a science teacher in like 4th grade that took you on the magic school bus?
We Scooby-Doo this shit
in Fort Mason. Crazy.
Haha, that shit was ass. But
Do Fennec be farting though? That is a good question.
If
We will need George.
is
for
Fennec
this one, I
farting?
think.
Is
Yeah.
Shand shitting? Things to consider.
Yeah, we need George for this one. I think. I think
Kyler,
it's the
Kyler,
only
please
answer.
never do that again.
She can
That's all
sell
I
a
have
fart
to
from
say.
jar.
That's all I
But-
have to say.
Boba watches the procedure, and near the end of the operation, Boba's like, "You plan to close this up?" And he's like, "Why would I do that, bro? Like, look at this shit. This is awesome."
Cover all this
and I was like,
beautiful
"Respect."
machinery.
And Boba was like, "Oh damn, I didn't know I was really sentencing her to a life where she had exposed robotic machinery on her. I was just trying to keep her alive."
Hey,
You know,
he knew
practicality.
exactly what he was doing walking into that bitch. You see every person outside and in there looking the way they look, and you're going to be surprised that that's what happens? Come on,
Right.
man. Hey, here's what you tell her. You either were dead or you look like this. To me, it's a pretty cool look. I think you
And
might
she
be.
accepts it
Practicality.
like that.
I feel
you
like
know?
you have to cover that up. Because, like, if I'm fighting her, what's preventing me from, like, if I catch her off guard, from just sticking my hand and, like, ripping out the machinery?
Hey,
What's
man.
stopping you from doing that to a living, breathing person with a full stomach? Just
Because,
out.
because how
It's
strong
Indiana
do you think I
Jones
am,
just
Colton, that I'm
fucking,
just,
what
like, shoving
is
my
that?
hand into there?
Temple of Doom, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Heart beating in the hand.
Like, I feel
Dumb and
like
Dumber, this
exposed
shit.
All time.
machinery, like, in your stomach. You just stick a stick in there.
In your
She's done
stomach.
for.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you're
Maybe
probably
she
right.
can like stretch
Hey.
out like the Ready Player One avatar. You know, like it, like she can like just move. Yeah, move with it.
Just pull a
fucking,
vision.
like, Mr. Gadget.
Just pull a vision and toss a piece of gum in that bitch, and she's done for. It's simple.
She's drunk as fuck off that gum. But she wakes up and she has all of these realizations like, oh my fucking god, I have a mechanical tummy. And Boba's like, well, yeah, it was either this or you die, so drink a black melon. Nurse its milk. And he's like, yeah, it takes some getting used to, but eventually you'll crave it. And I was like, huh.
It's a little interesting. Yeah, like.
But yeah,
Wow.
Boba's like, you were dying, I saved you. Hope that's okay. And she's like, what the fuck have you done to me? He's like, I took you to a mod parlor, Mos Eisley. You were gonna die. I figured you'd be okay with it. And I loved this whole thing. But Fennec eventually is like, well, Boba is like, you're Master Assassin Fennec Shand, which is interesting. I didn't know that her title before she worked for Boba Fett was Master Assassin. I thought it was like, I'm Daimyo. This is my Master Assassin. Like everyone has like a Secretary of Defense. Like this is my Master Assassin.
No, she's
Fennec's
known.
just the Master Assassin, which is pretty fucking
Well, I
awesome.
mean, don't you remember the Mandalorian? Whenever they like introduce her as like you're hunting after the Master Assassin, like Fennec Shand, the Master Assassin, Fennec Shand. Because the dude like told Den like, "Oh yeah, this is my target." He's like, "Are you fucking stupid? This is your first target."
Right. But and Fennec Shand of the Mid Rim. Like that's where she does her work. Like you know her best in the Mid Rim. That's where she's known. But Fennec's like, so the bounty's higher on me if I'm alive then, huh? But was like, yeah. Fennec's like, then I'll give you twice as much. And I was like, damn, she got that money. Like, who are you though? It's like Boba Fett. She's like,
Cap.
wrong. Cap.
Yeah.
Boba dead. And he's like, no, yeah, I was indeed left for dead on the sands of Tatooine, just as you were. Again, mirroring the lines he said in The Mandalorian. And he tells her that the Tuskens had rescued him and accepted him into their tribe. He says that he needs help because, they've attracted the attention of the Nikto speed bikers. And Fennec's like, so they wiped out Tuskens. I have a tough time believing that. And I was like, that's an interesting little tidbit. And I know that like they previously have gone over like that there are different factions and that some of them are warriors, some of them are not. And it is interesting that they had like a few people here who probably defended the camp because they weren't the warrior type necessarily. But when Boba talks to them and is like, "You shouldn't have to hide anywhere. You are warriors." Like, I was just like, it is interesting that the Tuskens would be so thoroughly and easily wiped out by the Nicktoos. But yeah, nevertheless, Boba's like, I want to help you recover from this. Help me get my ship back, my fire spray gunship. And Fennec sighs and it's like, where's it at? I was like, well, it's at Jabba's palace. She's like, well, Bib Fortuna runs that place now. Why don't you just go ask for it? I'm not as intimidating without my armor. And I was like, I'm glad you're that self-aware, buddy. Anyone is less intimidating outside of that armor. Not really his fault. He is more intimidating than most.
I mean, he is just a clone without it. That he's saying he's Boba Fett, So, like,
right.
That's all anyone would kind of believe.
Exactly.
Which is so weird to think that Boba's just a clone, like
he's like Captain Rex.
Yeah, it pulls me out every time. Like, it's so weird just to be like, oh yeah, there's like at one point there were millions of other,
Commander Cody, Captain Rex. These guys are just like Boba, just raised in different conditions.
And also older.
Different hairs too, that's how they're different.
Of course. They look different in some capacity. As far as facial hair is concerned, and sometimes defectiveness as the Bad Batch is concerned, face tattoos perhaps. But Fennec has Boba assure her that if she helps him, her debt is paid. That's it. We're done. And next we cut to them traveling through the Dune Sea on Boba's bantha, and as night falls, Fennec uses her little fucking mini probe droid tech.
Sick.
Which was fucking epic. And I love that they just made her like, she has the utilities, bro. Like, Boba might have had like the badass weaponry, right? Like knee cannons and shit. But Fennec is out here like, yeah, I'm gonna cut these bars down after tapping them.
That thing was all, yeah, her kit is pretty cool. And
yeah, she's got the shit on her there. But
another one of my screenshots was whenever they were, I guess we're not there yet, but whenever they looked at the map that thing made, and they were just, and it showed like the layout of the palace, or like at least that like garage area, and then going up to the stairs. Like, I love that we're getting a lot more of the layout of the palace.
Like, we know what's inside Jabba's palace. But yeah, that drone travels into the palace and through a vent and flies through the hallway. And in its search, it floats down a couple corridors. And meanwhile, Boba bids farewell to the bantha, telling the creature that he served him well, but now he is free to roam the Dune Sea. And he's like, I'm gonna miss you too. I'm gonna miss you too. As she licks Boba, which I thought was hilarious. And find other banthas, make baby banthas.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Do me a favor, buddy. Go fuck. But Fennec's like, you think it was a good idea to let the bantha go before we go and get your ship? And he's like, well, it's either I get it or I die. So, like, I'm not coming out here without my ship. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And I was like, good for him.
Hey.
He promises Fennec that she'll be free soon, and Fennec asks what his next plans are. But was like, well, I'm gonna find my armor, kill that bloated pig who double-crossed me, and take his throne. Did we, watch Bib Fortuna betray Boba Fett at any point? Like, do we know that's something that happened?
I hope it's just made up. I hope he's just making this shit up and just, he's just running with it. Just so he can, get these people to hop on.
Because, in Return of the Jedi, he just starts to fly, and then Han, shoots his jetpack, right? And then he, falls onto the ship, and then it wasn't anyone's fault. If any, it's Han's fault.
Oh, Han doesn't even shoot him. He's
it's accidental, right?
Stabs the jetpack.
Wow. Yeah, I never really got why he's blaming
utter
Bib
joke
Fortuna
out of Boba's death in Return of the Jedi, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know why they're blaming.
Warranted such a people are like, why isn't Boba Fett more badass? Or was it that badass when he got poked in the back and died?
Yeah, I don't know why he's double cross. I don't know how he's
maybe
double-crossed by
he was
Bib
just saying
Fortuna,
like double crossed in the sense of like the fact that he was just left to die there.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like he knew I was out there.
Yeah, he knew I was out there. He chose to leave me out there whenever, like Beskar clearly doesn't get, melted in there. And clearly, Bib Fortuna probably made the conscious decision, yeah, let's just leave him in there.
Fair. But then Fennec's like, so you're trying to head a Gatra? And he's like, yeah. And Fennec's like, well, you're a bounty hunter. I was like, yeah, but I'm tired of working for idiots who are going to get me killed. And I was like, fuck yeah. So are all the rest of us, buddy. Boba says that a Tuskens took him in and made him part of their tribe. He says that he decided to leave hunting behind, which means that this is the actual line where he says, my time with the Tuskens changed who I am. Like that's literally the line here. But I just thought that was a great line. And Boba says, Fennec replies that people like her don't get a choice sometimes. And just then the drone returns and provides them with a holographic map of the Slave One's location, and as well as the layout of Jabba's palace. And studying the display, Boba observes that there are way too many guards represented in red. And Fennec's like, well, then we'll just time the patrol right and go in quiet. And I like that, like, it was like, man, that might be a problem. And Fennec's like, it's really not.
Yeah, I could kill all of these people without any effort.
Like, it's a relatively easy thing that they do here. They only had to, like, get past some droids at points. Like, we see just how difficult, I guess it might be, to guard Jabba's palace.
Let
like,
me
maybe
tell
that's
you,
why
though.
Boba was so easily ran up on, along with the fact that he didn't have as many guards. Like, it's like if you find a way to sneak in, like, you might not run into anybody, especially with so few people.
I don't think enough people are talking about the General Grievous. That's the chef droid thing, That was just
love that.
That was just awesome. Like, they didn't need to do that, They didn't need to have him go all General Grievous mode and start.
That was absolutely a callback too. Like, it was incredibly obvious.
Like, I don't know. This episode was just full of just moments like that. Like, the freaking seismic charge, like full of just these moments that they know are just straight serotonin to the Star Wars fan, and they're just like, all right, here you go, you're welcome. Here's your fix. But
this was that was my second favorite scene in this episode. The fucking just, he's getting ready to fight him. He just goes. It was such, as you said, Joseph, just so neat, pointless, but I loved every second of it.
But yeah, after that whole saga with the droids, they hear footsteps approaching, and turns out to be a rat catcher droid. Like, it is there to catch rats, which is why it's so damn quick. And Boba and Fennec try to get it as it flees, and I love that Boba, like, it got personal for Boba. He's like, do you know who I am?
Yeah, you put him in a chokehold too, up against the wall. Like, it's
and the dude was like, shutting down, sorry. He's like, quick little bugger. Like, man, he really got my ass, didn't he?
Yeah, we don't really have that.
I like
option.
that the whole time Fennec's just watching in the background, like, you are such a fucking dork. Like, she literally, like, when he walks past her, she, like, literally takes a breath in with her eyes closed, like, damn, this boy dumb sometimes. But and then she's like, can we go now? But they reach the hangar where the Slave One is stored, and passing a pair of some gonks, two Gamorrean guards enter the hangar, but Boba and Fennec knock them the fuck out, and several armed guards storm the hangar, and Boba and Fennec are forced to hide, and a gun battle breaks out, and Fennec tells Boba, make sure that shit can even fly. Make sure this was worth it at all. And Fennec takes out a bunch of the guards as Boba climbs into the Slave One, and as more guards converge, Fennec blows up the gonk droids, scattering the guards effectively. And she shoots 4 more while Boba powers up the ship, and, like, she's just on a fucking tear, dude. She's a badass.
She got that aim.
She got aimbot. But as the reinforcements arrive, the engines come to life, and Fennec climbs aboard the gangplank, and as a Gamorrean guard charges, these dudes just like to run in and fucking jump. I remember in the Mando season premiere where that one in the ring is like, well, fuck it, I'm going over these ropes. And it's like, what made you think that was a good idea, buddy? You're fucking slow.
I mean, you got to make Fennec and Boba and Din look badass somehow, and it just comes at the price of the goons or the
goons.
It's just they're goons. That's
They're
what they're
goons.
there for, just to get beat up.
It's true, but as the Gamorrean charges, Boba tries to lift up the ship into flight mode, and Fennec is like, dude, do you even know how to fly? Confirmed Boba Fett's a bad driver. But at least bad at parking. But Boba replies that they need to get the gate open, but he can't see anything. And Fennec fights the Gamorrean guard on the hull of the Slave One and eventually knocks him off. And as the Slave One pulls through and destroys some concrete, Fennec fights another guy who had climbed onto the ship's hull. And Boba's like, shit, sorry, I'm going to continue to not be a help. The guns are jammed. And as Fennec finds the Nick-2, she tells Boba that she has an idea and tells him to close the ramp. And he's like, okay, I guess. Hope you know what you're doing. And Fennec throws the guy off the ramp, enters the ship, fires it at the gate, and it's like, okay, yeah, she's got this shit under control. Definitely need her at your side, Boba. And
I can't believe it was really just that simple. I mean, not that's like a shot that is in and of itself simple, but just shooting that big cylinder.
That's how
it was like, this will get it open.
That's how big doors work. You got to have a heavy weight. It's in the
true.
Matrix, It's how they did it there.
Our resident expert in big doors, Joseph George.
Big doors. Just big doors equal big counterweight that you could shoot to fast escape.
Big door equal big dick.
Anyways,
I zoned out. But
all right, my dog took my podcast. Anyway,
that was Timo hopped on to say that, right? That was Timo.
Yeah, that was 100%, that was him. But as dawn approaches, Slave One flies into the skies of Tatooine aboard the cockpit. Fennec tells Boba that they should stick to the plan next time, and Boba's like, next time, huh? And she settles into the co-pilot seat, and she asks how the ship is, and he replies that it's in good shape. It's a little rusty, but it's all right. And Fennec's like, well, you should get this shit fixed up in Mos Eisley. And he's like, nah, I'll do the shit myself. People think I'm dead. It'd be kind of weird to show my face around. It's advantageous.
Smart man.
It is smart. When he rises to power, there's only one reason he can just walk in there and shoot somebody, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, Boba Fett is the daimyo? Wait, Boba Fett is alive? That's some pretty dramatic entrance shit. But Boba reminds Fennec that her debt's been paid and asks where she would like to be dropped, and she's like, well, where are you going? And Boba's like, well, I got a few scores to settle. She's like, all right, I'll go for the ride. I was like, all right. Now, I haven't gotten a note of anything even remotely romantic between them. Except for a little tiny bit here. And that was
I could feel the sexual tension the entire episode.
The whole time. The whole time. They're 1 second away from ripping each other's clothes off.
Oh, yeah.
Just right there on the floor of Jabba's palace.
Boba has been giving Fennec fuck me eyes the entire series.
Boba's been giving everyone fuck me eyes. That dude horny. But
I want to give me fuck me eyes,
man. Don't make bantha babies. Yeah, he wants everyone to fuck. He's just a fucking cool guy.
We haven't gotten to see yet, but the lady that controls the bar, she's giving everyone fuck me eyes.
Garsa Flip.
I want her to give me fuck me eyes.
Garsa Whip, what a legend. But later in the day, we see the Kintan Striders ride their speeders through the deserts, and I was like, what's that little dot up in the corner? Oh, it's getting bigger. I see. And thus the Slave One appears and absolutely destroys all of these guys, and it's just like, he was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do to these motherfuckers. Let me go get my ship. I'm not even going to make this a battle. I'm going to make sure I just wipe them the fuck out and I never have to deal with it again.
He didn't have to use a missile either, you know? Like, he didn't have to. He was just like, yeah, it's needed here. You know, this last guy, fuck him. You know, I'm not just going to shoot him like the rest. I'm gonna blow him up with just an overkill of a missile for this one speeder, but he had to, you know, that's his first.
Oh, I loved it. It was like, you know, like as a crime lord is one to do, he retaliates for the, you know, and it's a thing in the Harley Quinn animated series where it's like, you know, if you're going to murder, like mass murder people in a family, end the bloodline. Like if you were going to kill these Tuskens, you had to kill Boba too, or it was going to be a problem for you. And you know, he then flies the Slave One away, and him and Fennec make eye contact with the Great Pit of Carcoon, where there's a bunch of wreckage from the sail barge that's still out there, and we see Boba tell Fennec to hand on as he slowly brings the Slave One above the Sarlacc pit. And he's like, yeah, I was locked away in here where he'd been locked away years ago. And Fennec initially responds with disbelief, believing that the armor had dissolved inside the digestive system.
Not Beskar.
Yeah, but, you know, then we see the Sarlacc is still alive. And the Slave One descends into its maw, but can't see a thing until that thing snaps up at him. And, yeah, that one's rough. That one was like, okay. This motherfucker's still out here. He'd probably been waiting a while to see somebody again, too. And, but, you know, the Sarlacc awakens and latches onto the Slave One with its tentacles, and Fennec's like, well, shoot it. And he tries, and hearing the blasters or the that shit is fantastic. Just the prequel vibes out the ass there, and, you know, impressive seeing just how fucking strong the Sarlacc pit is. Like, he's full throttle, backing out of there. Like, I'm getting out of here, and he can't. Which is quite impressive. But, you know, where was I? I'm trying to find my spot here. Yeah, this struggle goes on for a while, but Fennec finds the button she needs to push, and the button. You're like, what? Oh, that button's got to be something good. Pushes the button. The seismic charge rolls out of the shit and into the Sarlacc's mouth, and thus we have our Sarlacc Soundwave.
Wow.
Fennec with the fire in the hole. I was like, oh, that was gas.
Our big brains just knowing that this moment would happen, you know, subconsciously naming the podcast that, like, just, you know, didn't want to spoil it for the people, you know, that easily. So
we knew what was happening.
But, what a moment. Like, I literally sat, I was laying down, you know, watching, and then I see, you know, the button. I'm like, wait a minute. This could only mean two things. One, hyperdrive. They're going into hyperspace through Tatooine right now, and I'm like, wait, that's ridiculous.
They're going
obviously not going to destroy Tatooine. And then I'm like, okay, there's only one other possibility of what this button is going to do. And I just instantly am like, okay, I'm in. I sat up and I just like closed my eyes after it like fell in there, and I just listened. I turned my TV up like so much too, and I just let it radiate through my room. And
Joseph, they're saving the you know, hyperspeed for the next episode. Whenever they go into the core of Tatooine,
you're right.
Into
have
the
hyperspace and then
into
stop
the core.
In the core, yeah, it's the
where
quickest...
it's all water.
Yeah,
where it's all water, and so that's what. Yeah.
To hydrate the planet, blow up the core, or turn the planet inside out through hyperspace.
Blow up the great black melon in the center of Tatooine. Yeah,
great black melon, praise thee. But
you'll eventually crave it.
Boba's like, thanks, I appreciate that and all, but next time don't touch my shit. Thank you. And later on, Boba uses a rope to climb into the corpse of the Sarlacc while Fennec holds him up. And after returning from it, he tells her, you know, I found nothing. This was a complete and utter waste of time. And Fennec warns that Boba is burning and that he's not safe inside the creature, and pours some water on his head. And Boba's like, well, yeah, my my armor's not down there. And Fennec's like, yeah, the armor certainly served its purpose when it saved you from the fucking acid. And she recommends that he uses a Bacta tank. And Boba pours the rest of the water down on his head. And later on in the evening, Boba captures a scurrier for the two to share. And the two hunters sit around a fire. And when Fennec questions his ambition to form his own house, Boba asks, how many times were you hired to do a job that was avoidable? He says that if only the crime syndicates took the time to think, they could have saved lives. And Fennec responds, their kind would then be out of business, out of work. And Boba's like, I'm tired of our kind dying because of the idiocy of others. He says they're smarter than them, and that it's time that they took their shot. And Boba said, unionize. Motherfucker, unionize. And I was like, praise this man.
Space. He is more space Jesus than Obi-Wan. I know what I said was sacrilegious right there, and that's crazy that it came out of my mouth, but this is space Jesus.
This is space
at
Jesus.
the core, he was eaten and literally reborn. And then there's literal religious music in
he
this.
He probably came out of that Sarlacc pit 3 days later.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of this music is sounding a little churchy, to me. There are some moments where it's
definitely got that ancient incantation vibe there.
Yeah. He's
I don't know how
on
many
a
churches
space
you're going
Jesus
to
quest
that they're saying
line.
that, but
No, not
ancient hymn, lamentation sort of thing.
There's a shot where it's just Boba staring out into the sun, and it's literally just for 30 seconds that they just play this church-ish song. It's not obvious church music, but I don't know. It just got me in the mode of being yeah, you know what? This dude is Space Jesus.
Just the camera zooms in on Boba Fett's face, and then Kirk Franklin just starts wailing. But Boba says, I'm planning on starting my own house, so I'm gonna need brains. And I'm going to need muscle. And you got both of them. Facts. That's tempting. But,
and I'm also in love with you, so please come with me. Stay with me forever.
Fennec says, that's tempting and all, but I'm an independent contractor. I'll do some jobs for you, but I value my freedom. And he's like, well, I can offer you something that no client ever has. Loyalty. I'll give you a cut of my earnings, and I'll protect you with my life. And Fennec replies that living with the Tuscans had made him soft. And Boba says, no, it made me strong. And I was like, everybody watching who had some shit to say about how Boba isn't tough, fuck yourself. They had a line in the show ready for you. Fuck yes.
They knew.
I love that.
They knew.
He's a little puss boy thinking friendship is more important than strength.
He also reasons that you can only get so far without a tribe. And as Boba rests in his Bacta tank, he experiences one last flashback, a Bib Fortuna greeting, and Boba! And then Boba shooting his ass dead and throwing him off the throne. He claims the throne. Fennec sips some of that fucking blue drink she's got. What was that called?
Blue milk.
Spotchka. Yeah,
the blue milk from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
from Last Jedi. But as Fett awakens, he presses a button, draining away the Bacta from the tank, and a servant droid hands him a towel as Fett emerges. And the droid congratulates Fett. You are completely healed. And the shot we see of Boba Fett's armory right there, where it's his whole kit just laid out.
Yeah,
that's how it's going to be done everywhere now. You're going to see every cosplayer, that is how. I don't know. I want seeing that just made me want to be I want one of those now.
Honestly,
in the corner of my room, I want that.
I'm kind of surprised you haven't already started 3D printing.
I was
stuff
actually
to make
thinking
your
about
own.
it. I was looking at it, and you just need so much filament.
You would
so much, but
it'd be fucking cool.
It would be.
It'd be awesome. But Fennec then asks about the scars on the inside. You're completely healed, but what about the scars on the inside? And Fett's like, those take more time. I love that. They're both we're fucked up, aren't we? That's a shame.
They're let's laugh about it.
They know. I mean, they know. They both live the same, similar lifestyles. So like, it's a mutual understanding.
Oh, for sure. And it is interesting that like they'll like talk to each other without like talking to each other. Like, you all right? Yeah. All right. Cool.
I mean, you gotta think there are a lot of people that that have trauma that deal with it by joking about the fact that they have trauma, not dealing with said trauma, but just joking about the fact that they have it.
Pete Davidson, and his dad, great example.
His dad dying in 9/11. Yeah, that was a big one for him.
He gets a lot of mileage out of that.
He did lots of it. A lot of jokes told at roasts. Damn shame. But Boba's like, those take longer. And he turns his attention to the mayor's major domo, and Fennec replies, he's a prisoner singing like a Zoom, but there's no sign of the mayor.
Is it just me, or is the name Major Domo just like the most? It just either sounds like it's like a joke waiting to give head, or is like
Major
right there.
Domo.
Like, yeah, it sounds
like
stupid
there's a
and cool
blowjob
at the same
joke
time.
in there somewhere, and
Trying
it's
to
like
get that
also
major
dome.
Oh, what's up with the mayor? What's up with the mayor's major domo? I'm trying to get
some major dome.
No.
Yeah, like you've gotten dome, but have you gotten major dome from the major domo, bro? Like, I don't know.
I don't know about it, but as Boba summons the droid to fetch his armor, Fennec tells him that the mods are combing the streets of Mos Espa for the fugitive mayor, and I like that we have a name for the youths now, the mods. And
they
Boba
won't
wants
be called
to,
that one time. They'll always be called the youths.
Yeah, they're the youths, the mod youths. But Boba wants to show his face in town. Fennec's like, "Well, shouldn't you chill?" And he's like, "Power hates a vacuum." She's like, "You'd still be in power here, buddy." And I was like, that's pretty. I mean, like, you're a man of the people, and I get it, but like, you probably need to chill out a little bit, just kind of hang back for a second, take a breather.
What are you talking about? He took a breather in the Bacta tank.
Yeah, it's just like, what? I don't know. Just doesn't feel like enough for Boba. Probably needs a little bit more rest, maybe a little therapy. But at the sanctuary,
where's Dr. Melfi when you need him?
Therapy is for.
Where is Dr. Melfi? Give me Lorraine Bracco. I need her to show up as Star Wars therapist here in the Book of Boba. But
damn, Boba would throw a wrench.
Feel?
Boba would throw a wrench in her shit because he ain't got no mom. I mean, man's artificially created. There ain't no mom to say.
That's a whole other thing there in and of itself.
There ain't no mom for her to say you want to have sex with your mother.
So would the mom maybe be the Kaminoans?
Lama Su.
Does he want to have sex with a Kaminoan? Is that his issue?
I made that song out of the Kaminoans' names.
I picked
that was
up.
impressive.
Nalase, Nalasa. Nalase, Nalasa. Lama Su.
Omega.
Don't overthink it. It works. It works.
Omega.
Nalase, Nalase, Lamasu.
Omega.
There we go. But at the Sanctuary Cantina, a gambling droid serves several Trandoshan patrons who celebrate their win, with Black Chrysanthemum drinking nearby, spilling his drink all over his furry chest, and watching the Trandoshans like, I fucking hate these guys. And I think this is something that's like kind of seated in lore of Star Wars, that Trandoshans used to hunt and imprison Wookiees. So he's just like, these motherfuckers don't deserve to be having fun.
It's
because like otherwise it's like, man, Chrysanthemum's got some issues to work through.
I took it, especially since she was like talking about the slave like fighting pits. I took it to be like the Trandoshans, I think they're known as like slavers, and so
they probably put
chances are he was probably captured by a Trandoshan, and that's why he was like, I'm gonna fucking kill these guys.
Imagine a 3-hour stretch of appointments as a Star Wars therapist of just fucking Black Chrysanthemum, fucking Fennec Shand, and then Boba Fett to bring it all home. Oh my god.
Okay, I mean, that'd be terrible, but I feel like they're also...
Melfi's like, Fennec, are you holding anything in? And she's like, yeah, I met Boba's sister 30 years ago. I haven't told him yet.
I feel like there are probably people that are worse off than, these three as well.
Oh, certainly. Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
They're all
all of them.
kind of.
And so
everyone in the Star Wars universe needs therapy.
And so I kissed her, and then she's my sister. I mean, what the fuck?
What? And then get this, all right. Mom, dead. Dad, dead now. Aunt and uncle, dead. My mentor, my leader, Obi-Wan, Yoda, dead.
In front of me, mind you.
All of them died in front of me besides Padme. Besides my mom.
My grandson killed Han. Or not grandson, my nephew
killed my best friend.
best friend. Yeah. Damn, that sucks. Oh yeah, Leia, my sister. Yeah, I guess you already said sister. Damn, yeah, fuck.
So, clearly Luke wants to have sex with his sister.
That's all Melfi takes away from that.
Circle.
And I think everyone wants to have sex with his mother.
Oh, I thought you were going a different route with that.
What route did you think I was going to go with it?
Well, we know Luke wants to have sex with his sister, but everyone wants to. You were going to keep going with that line of.
I was mainly just wanted to get a joke in about most people wanting to have sex with Natalie Portman.
His mother.
As Padme, yeah.
But yeah, so Chrysanthemum rips this motherfucker's arms off.
I thought that was a nice little parallel to Obi-Wan slicing that dude's arm off in the cantina in New Hope.
Right, and it's also like a pull through of like the fact that a Wookiee doesn't rip your arms off when he loses. A Wookiee ripped this guy's arm off. But that only came after Garsa Fwip intervened and telling Black Chrysanthemum that he made his point, telling him that she remembers his years in the pit, remarking she'd never seen a more impressive display of martial prowess, describing him as a legend who drew crowds of thousands. She says that his knuckle dusters were more feared than blasters. He has met every challenge and won every trophy. It would be dishonorable for you to dismember this unfortunate Trandoshan.
This gave me such like Deadpool vibes when what's Juggernaut? No, it's not Juggernaut. It's Colossus giving him like the spiel about one good decision every day, and then he just like you rambled on like that's Chrysanthemum just rips the arm off. Yeah. He's like, "Yep, I'm done," and then just as badass as it gets, drops the sack of credits onto the waiter.
Oh, I loved that.
Yep, I don't need you to pay my tab. I just wanted to rip that guy's fucking arm off.
She tried so fucking hard, and I love that. Like, it kind of seemed like it was working for a second, and then she was like, "Now, if you just set him down, don't rip his arm off, we can call it even on the debt." And he's like, "Go fuck you! I don't need your money."
He said, "You know what? You could have just stopped at the, whole
There was
spiel."
A second there where I was like, man, does Black Chrysanthemum want free drinks that bad? Like, he's just like, all right, cool. Yeah, I could do that. I don't have a job anymore. Does
he though?
He does soon.
Yeah.
Soon come. But Black Chrysanthemum pays Garsa Fwip his tab before walking past Boba, and Boba was like, well, it was worth a shot, and I like that it was like, generally not a big deal. Fuck that guy anyway. But Garsa's like, hit it, Max. And the band continues playing.
Imagine just sitting there like mortified and blacking out as your arm has been ripped off of your fucking body, and you just hear the cantina music, and everyone go back to their normal, just good time vibes, just partying, and then he's just laying there.
That's exactly what happened after the Obi-Wan arm swipe. It's just probably more of the parallel between the Obi-Wan, and the cantina, because that's exactly what happened. Is they were like, sorry for the
everyone
mess.
Just went back to doing their thing. This dude's just laying there without an arm.
He's like, oh, just another Tuesday in the galaxy.
Boba follows him on out of that sanctuary, though, and looks at the Wookiee, tells him, I got a job for you, buddy. And, the Wookiee looks menacingly at Fett, but later, Boba and Fennec host several local crime bosses at a banquet in Boba's palace, and Fennec explains that Jabba once sat on the throne, but his reign ended in a ball of fire above the Dune Sea, with Bib Fortuna taking his place. Fennec reminds them that they were once captains under Jabba, but left his family when Fortuna claimed to be the heir. She describes Fortuna as a terrible leader with no right to the throne. And Fennec recalls that they each tried to take his place, but were thwarted by his guile and treachery. And Black Chrysanthemum is also standing in the background like, yeah, you know what? Now I'm part of the muscle. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Just going to recruit all the bounty hunters to be on your team. I love it. And Fennec credits Boba with removing Fortuna and promises that they can again accrue the wealth that and the power if they listen to Boba. And Boba says, he may sit on the throne, but he claims to have no desires on their territory. And he says that he doesn't expect any tribute or quarter or anything in return, but he says, he has a mutually beneficial proposal. Explains that the Pikes are gathering in Mos Espa, and they're trying to make Tatooine theirs. A Trandoshan captain named Doc Strassi, who is actually played by Robert Rodriguez, fun fact, the director and general showrunner of the show, and says that they make much money through the sale of spice in their territory, which the Pikes have a heavy hand in. And then a Klatooinian captain asks Boba why he deserves to be daimyo. What prevents them from killing him and taking what they want? And just then, Boba's Rancor reaches up and nearly grabs all of them, and they all jump up off the table, and Boba remains seated.
And they're like, okay. You know what?
Yeah, I get it.
Maybe I'll reconsider.
He must be hungry, or what does he say? Something along those lines? Comments on that?
Yeah, and he throws him the piece of meat. Shocking to believe that would satisfy a Sarlacc.
Rancor,
yeah.
But
also, so Danny Trejo was down there, just like waiting for
that
them to.
Was just for Danny Trejo. Actually, that wasn't for the Rancor.
Yeah. The Rancor, handed it to Danny Trejo. Said, here's your dinner.
That's
here's your meal,
I feel like Danny Trejo's just sitting down there, just waiting, and he's like, they're gonna talk shit on Boba at some point, and when they do,
I'm gonna poke you, and you're gonna reach up.
You're gonna reach up and scare the shit out of him.
But after Boba's Rancor roars up and punches the trapdoor, one of the Lep droid from earlier runs away, and Boba claims that calms the Rancor by sharing a piece of meat, calms the guests. They all sit down, and Boba's like, crime lords can benefit from cooperation instead of fighting. And Aqualish Master Garfalaquax.
Wow.
Again, we've commented on this so many times throughout the Star Wars analysis, but the way that they just come up with it, I mean, where do you get this shit from?
I don't know. Garfalaquax?
I mean,
throw a fork in a box. And
you get okay. Here's what
the sound.
I have no doubts in my mind. They have one of those little what do you call them? The little dream catcher thing or whatever you call them, where you do the thing. You pick the first number, and that's how many vowels go in it, and then you pick the next number, and it's how many consonants, and it is either between 8 to 12 consonants, and there is no more than 2 vowels in every name.
They were like, "Fuck, this is going to be a hard one."
I think
Garfalaquax.
Yeah, there's one person at Disney, and his whole job is he sits at a computer. Okay, he just he gets in for the day. He clicks generate, and it just spits out a bunch of random computer generated bullshit names. It's a whole bunch of computer generated random names, and then he just reads through them. Just terrible.
He's looking around
terrible,
that won't do anything.
Garfalaquax.
That's perfect for that Aqualish Don. Get it, write it down.
I'm saying I'm waiting for that guy to fuck up one time, and I am swooping in on that shit. I am Hawkeyeing on LinkedIn for that fucking job, and I am sniping the shit out of it.
There. But
his job title is Star Wars name generator.
Boba replies that he's proposing that the crime families of Mos Espa join in a defensive alliance against the Pike Syndicate. And the Klatooinian captain counters that the Pikes have only threatened Fett's territory. Why should we spill our blood for a feud between you and the Pikes? And Boba vows to fight these enemies alone and to vanquish them alone. But they'll have to know that he had to do it alone. I can make the streets safe again, and you can prosper. And Boba says that all he asks in return is that they remain neutral if the Pike Syndicate reaches out to them to betray him. And the crime lords discuss Boba's proposal, and Strassi says that Boba's proposal is acceptable, and they all concur. And the crime lords, Boba and Fennec, have a toast. And, later that night, the crime lords depart Boba's palace, and Boba and Fennec watch from the balcony. And when Fennec asks if he trusts them. Boba's like, well, you know, they work for their own self-interest, and we gave them a better offer than the Pikes will. And as they depart on their vehicles, Boba opines that they may be stubborn, but are not foolish. Boba says, you know, they have to prepare for war. He's like, how much treasure we got?
We got a lot of treasure, but no muscle. And Fennec is
Fett
like,
replies, you know, she's like, credits can buy a lot of muscle if you know where to look.
so what does this mean, boys?
Fantastic.
What does this mean? Does Din still have the Darksaber?
Listen,
they're going to hire Mace
there?
Windu.
You know, like there's it's insane. Like, obviously Din is showing up in the show. They're not going to play that music and then not have him show up. He's showing up.
Certainly.
And it is after he gets the Darksaber from Moff Gideon and Grogu's gone.
Man.
And Bo-Katan is right there as well. And like, weeks or like a month, you know, like it's like a couple weeks or like a month or a couple months, maybe, you know.
It is a goddamn shame that we saw, what's the droid, the fighter, I say fighter.
IG-11?
Is that who is in Mando?
The self-destruct? Yeah.
It's a shame that him and Creel are gone, because I would just love for this reveal to be that music, and then all of a sudden the muscle they hire is just Creel and IG-11 showing up, just fucking
He's
ready
on his
to,
fucking blur.
just ready to just go crazy on the pipes. But no, I mean,
I see a vision.
We're all wrong. I know exactly who we're getting. The ultimate killer of men, Chopper.
It'd be pretty epic.
No,
I
He's
wish.
coming in. He's about to double his kill count.
But I was going to say, I mean, to a certain extent, one could argue that Din is in a little bit of debt to these people, like, and not a like looming like blackmail type debt, but I mean, it would be wrong of him to deny that they were of a huge aid and help in retrieving and getting Grogu to where he needed to ultimately go.
In all fairness, though, he also did get Mando or Boba Fett's armor for him, though.
Okay.
That was the exchange.
Okay.
That was the exchange.
Fair.
This is a whole new favor, which would imply that come Mando season 3, someone will have a favor to cash in on, in return for Boba Fett to come back to his aid.
But
however, the implication here that Joe was speaking to, the Darksaber thing. So we're probably gonna get something acknowledging the fact that he should still have the Darksaber. It's not an off-screen thing where he's like, yeah, I just gave it to Bo-Katan.
Well, because that's not happening, because she specifically said, "I'm not taking it." I learned my lesson last time.
So me and Joe have worked through this. My theory stands at the moment that, maybe Din won't be alone, but will instead come with Bo-Katan. Like, until they figure out what the fuck to do about the Darksaber. Like, I know they're quick to action and stuff, but they're both reasonable people ultimately, and they don't want to fight each other. I'm assuming they'll figure this shit out somehow. And maybe they're together. Maybe they find Boba, right? Boba's this grand leader. Boba's really good at leading. Who takes the Darksaber?
Bo-Katan, the one who needs to rule too much, and Din, the one who doesn't want to lead at all. And then you have Boba, who's leading for the right reasons.
Yeah, but I don't think
he rules with respect.
See, that's the thing, though.
It's
I don't think
first transfer of the Darksaber that is peaceful. The first one, and it's to Boba Fett. It won't
happen next episode.
No.
I don't think Boba would want to lead the Mandalorians, though. I don't think he wants to lead Mandalore.
He's not stopping at Tatooine. He's not stopping at Tatooine.
I don't think he does either. But I think
just where he's building his house. He's building his house, which is a
he's
galaxy
building his house there to try and stop, to try and bring down like the crime lords and all that stuff. But I think the step from building a house on Tatooine to essentially ruling Mandalore
can allow him to do a lot of what he wants.
It's a pretty big jump. I don't mean it'll happen by the end of the season.
My theory.
Okay. See, that's fine. I thought you meant like end of the season. He's ruling.
Oh no, that's
over
not
Mandalore,
like the finale. Boba's got the Darksaber.
That is a. I feel like it'd be like a,
You guys are thinking way too deep here. It's really simple, okay? We saw it in Hawkeye. All that's going to happen to resolve this whole Darksaber conflict is just LARP. We're just going to LARP this thing out and have a nice little peaceful LARP fight, and it's going to be Joe Schmo off the street that gets the Darksaber.
They're just going to let
they're just going to let chaos ensue.
I thought you were going to go like the Hawkeye, like, they would just both be Hawkeye. I thought you were going to be like,
No,
both of us can have the Darksaber.
That was the first thing I thought of. Was like, how funny would it be to just like LARP that shit out for the Darksaber?
My guess right now is that Din will lead Mandalore for a while as the symbol. He will be the symbol, but Bo-Katan will be the one kind of pulling all the strings or something along the lines. I don't think we get Din on Mandalore for a while in the first place anyways. I think he's just going to be like, I have this thing, I really don't want it, and I don't want what comes with it. Like,
the other thing is that Mandalore is not free for the ruling at the moment. Like,
that's true.
I'm pretty sure it's occupied by the Empire. They have to fight a war to get Mandalore back.
No, it's the Empire's gone. I don't think they're
not the Empire that we know. The Empire
here.
That
Thrawn is still acting.
I think Mandalore is the seat of the remaining Imperial power.
I get what you're saying. But I'm more taking it as like, the people, like all the Mandalorians, like the remnants that are spread throughout. I think they will kind of be drawn to the Darksaber. I don't think Din wants to lead them at all. I don't think Bo-Katan is capable of leading them anymore because she's never been a very good leader to begin with.
In her past, like she used to be, the Black Watch, like part of Black Watch or Death Watch, and like a very radical, person among Mandalore. And like Colton brought up to me that like people were fine with the way Duchess Satine was ruling Mandalore, and that was very peaceful and not
everyone except for
not
Death
everyone,
Watch.
but like the planet was doing fine, So who's to say that they're gonna want a Bo-Katan, under all this chaos, they would probably just want to go back to a Duchess Satine. That's all they want.
Chaos, they'd want someone who ruled with respect.
See, I don't even think they want. I think they don't. I don't think they want someone to rule with the Darksaber. I think Mandalore isn't ever like. I think they're past the point where the Darksaber is what rules them. I think they're Mandalore itself will have a Duchess Satine type character, but then the actual like the Mandalorians.
But then the Darksaber doesn't matter though.
No, what I'm saying is like the Mandalorians, like the ones that have gone underground that are still wearing the armor and staying true to the traditions, which are just an offshoot of the Death Watch. I think that group could still be led by a Boba Fett there, where he's not actually going back to Mandalore to rule the planet. He just now has a force of, bounty hunters.
Mandalorians.
I kind of feel like it's a missed opportunity if the Darksaber does not get into Boba Fett's hands. Like,
oh no, I'm saying I think he takes the Darksaber and uses that as he now has a source of manpower almost that's the remnants
that are loyal to the Darksaber.
That are loyal to him and the Darksaber because he is a true Mandalorian. But he's not going to go back to Mandalore and say, I rule Mandalore, because most people on Mandalore don't give a fuck about the Darksaber at this point in time.
No, I'm with that. Yeah, I just don't think it would happen anytime soon. Like that, this would be something that is like this would be one of the end game things. When these series all culminate together, that would be the sort of thing.
If it was a go back to Mandalore and actually rule Mandalore, that's not happening for a minute. But if it was a somehow get the Darksaber and him start gathering a following of Mandalorians, I could see that happening, more of like towards the end of the season, next season, type thing.
And I don't think he's going to win the Darksaber this season.
No.
But he'll hold the Darksaber.
I could almost see if they have Din lose the Darksaber, to somehow whatever happens, maybe next season of the Mandalorian, he loses the Darksaber, and then it ends up having to be Boba Fett who wins it back.
My big
Because that's
brain,
the whole thing. I do think someone has to win it. Like whoever's holding it has to have won it. Because
I see this
same thing
scene
with
happening in my brain, and it just almost seems like it kind of has to happen. Is that there's going to be tension building between Din and Bo-Katan for a long time, and Bo-Katan's just going to want to kill him because she wants the Darksaber. Like, that's what Bo-Katan's about.
Yeah. Boba
is, probably going to be with them. Like, at the time that Bo-Katan is like, you know what? Screw it. I'm doing this. Like, I'm going for it. Boba will step in and, like, stop the fight. Break the fight. Like, it'll seem like Din's about to die or something.
Beat the shit out of
or,
both
something
of them.
Like happen. And then he beats both of them, and Bo-Katan has nothing to say but like, oh yeah, you beat me, so you have to take it, in no way I'm gonna beat you, so like, and then Din is like, I don't give a fuck, I didn't want it in the first place. So like, so now
I've tried to give this away at literally every single turn.
Yeah, so like, I see Bo-Katan and Din eventually fighting, but then Boba being the one to save the day, and then in turn him saving the day means that he becomes the owner of the Darksaber. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, though.
Bottom line, I think we see Boba Fett wield the Darksaber this season, not as the owner of the Darksaber, but get his hands on the Darksaber, and I see him atop the Rancor holding the Darksaber in the air.
Oh yeah,
a parallel between
leading his army to.
I hate the parallel if they're going to do it. Is like when Moff Gideon got out of his dead TIE fighter on top of it. If Boba will be like on top of his dead Rancor and like pissed off, and like you just see him like
unacceptable. That Rancor,
I know, like if that happens, I'm sorry that I put it in your brain already, and like it's just, but like I don't want that to happen. But like.
Hey Disney, I'll continue the threat from last time. If you kill this motherfucking Rancor, you're all dead.
I mean, they are building their relationship up. Like, they are building the relationship between Boba and this Rancor up. And the only thing I see is someone's going to kill this Rancor, and Boba is not going to, he's going to go off. Like,
I think I hope it's not that case, but I'm going with that they're building it up solely so that they can have a scene where he's riding, where like this is like he's riding a Rancor, because like don't they talk about like Mandalorians like riding some like dragon or some shit from Mandalore? Isn't that like a thing?
Yeah,
this is
fucking thing on his shoulder pad.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it's called right now.
That thing. That is his version of it, of just being like, I'm riding a fucking Rancor into battle. This is my my steed, not for it to just be like someone kills it and he goes insane. I hope that. Yeah, I don't want that to happen, and I don't think
a sacrificial lamb of giant proportions.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think they introduce a Rancor for Boba Fett just to kill it off.
Well, I think like I'm saying, like this Rancor dies like next season. Like it's not dying. He's riding the fuck out of this Rancor for a while. Like at least once. That's for sure. Like he's riding it at least once.
That's just wasted Rancor potential.
They wouldn't put that line in there if he wasn't going to ride.
Oh, no, I think he's going to ride it. But what I'm saying is, like, it would even be wasted Rancor potential to kill it off at some point. I think it's going to be, like, almost like a sort, like, the symbol of his seat of, like, I have a fucking Rancor. I have a Rancor, and it loves me. It doesn't, hate every moment of its life.
Well, shit, guys. You got any last thoughts on this here episode?
You think we're going to war next episode, or you think we're gonna get like the same?
Okay,
I mean,
we're at least gonna settle down with Din for a second, so
true.
That makes me go. No,
okay.
I don't think
so
the war
what's
will
the
be
deal?
fought in half.
How many episodes of this?
7.
7.
So 3 left.
3
more?
left. Yeah.
So we've got 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
I think
they can't. This is gonna sound crude. They can't blow their load this quick.
Blow their load.
Yeah.
They can't blow their load. I could see the war starting and like, them not introducing, they bring Din in like after the wars. I could see like them bringing him in after it's already started.
Are you insinuating we have a Star Wars version of On Your Left here with Din? Is that what I'm hearing? On Your Left?
Yeah, we just
Hey cat,
on your left.
On your left.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, not that, not to that extent where he just shows up randomly, but more like where they bring the muscle in that they think they need. They start going to war, they start the war, figure out, damn, the Pikes have a lot of money. This isn't going too well. So he calls up Din and is like, hey buddy, you want to come help me out, pal? And then Din comes in with some Mandalorians. They fuck up the Pikes. And that's like, and then like, I think Din is like a wave of reinforcements, not, the beginning of the war.
So you don't think we see Din
I don't
next
know,
episode?
man. I think that if they're like, we need muscle, we have the credits, who is the most badass person we've just come into contact to?
Yes, but I also don't think their first thought is I think their first thought is let's pay other people, not let's go pay our friend that we just helped. I feel like Din is more of like
with the lightsaber and the Beskar spear though, and the full polished.
I think my thing is that like, I think you might be right, but I think Boba and Fennec would be idiots to not think of Din first.
I agree. But to me, Din is more of like he comes as a favor, whereas the money we're paying for muscle is let's go find some bounty hunters that are pissed off about their lives, the fact that they're being killed for stupid people. Let's have them come help us out.
He'll come as a favor, but they will have already offered to pay him.
Oh, no, I'm saying they'll offer to pay him. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't think he comes, just because they're like, oh, here's some money, come help us out. I think it's like hey, we're about to fucking lose. Please come help us.
Gotcha.
Maybe he's just thank you for giving me something to do.
I take this all at pretty face value. I've taken this as, we need help. Let's call Din and get this shit rolling. But my last prediction before we sign off here is that Din Djarin has a new ship that we'll meet in the Book of Boba Fett after the death of the Razor Crest.
What if Boba gifts him the Slave One?
We theorized this at the end of Mandalorian season 2.
We haven't seen the Slave One after he's taken power, right?
No, not yet.
It's gone. Like, and you think he would have? I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't.
Or maybe he's like Din is like borrowing it. I don't know.
I think my guess is that
he
just hasn't needed to use it.
Like
he's just like,
you only really need to use it if you're
where's it at?
Going out in the middle
is it just
of the
down
desert.
in the garage?
It's
probably in the It's probably in the garage of Boba's palace now, where it was when they broke it out.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder where Din will be though. Like where he'll be, where Mando will find Din.
Also, I love that we were 100% correct about where the ship would be. It was literally just like, it was just still at the palace. They just, it was there and they just left it there.
Right.
It kind of seems that Bo-Katan would never leave Din's side because of just that he has the Darksaber and Bo-Katan doesn't want anything to happen to it. And the only place I see them going is a Mandalore or
Din's
something related. I guess
adventures.
Where would Bo-Katan go?
See, I don't.
I bet they're just on that Star Destroyer.
You think?
Because it's Bo-Katan's now.
It's true.
It's the Mandalorians now.
But I almost don't know if Bo-Katan would want to stay with Din though.
Because
her whole goal is to try and fight her way, fight him to get back the Darksaber. I don't think she's gonna be like, I'm just gonna stick with you until I see a point where I can, beat the shit out of you and take it. I think
it'd be kind of funny if he was just sitting there doing something and she just punched him in the face and ripped it out of his hand and it'd be technically I won this.
Technically I won. I don't listen with how honor bound Mandalorians are. I doubt they'd be like, this was an honorable fight.
Maybe Din would be like, "Oh fuck, you got me, shit,
oh man,
damn it."
Or
I think
I challenge you to a duel and then trips.
Well, do you just want to hit me and I'll give it to you?
Listen, can you just listen? You can beat the shit out of me. Just take. I don't want it anymore. Listen. Just take the shit. Listen, I'm gonna be real honest. I'm gonna be sleeping in a couple hours. Just come up, just punch me in the face a couple times. I'll say we had a duel.
But hell yeah, this concludes the Sarlacc Soundwave number 4 covering the Book of Boba Fett. We are the Fett's Fuck Boys. I was Colton Robertson, joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you, and thank you, Miles fucking Buttress.
Hey, always happy to join you. Happy to come back anytime.
Come back next week, even?
Mayhaps.
And on the screen below me that I can see and you cannot, KBZ, Kyler Barnett. Thank you very much, homie.
Absolutely.
And if you would, head to patreon.com/CobraBloom where you'll find well over 20 hours of exclusive content at this point. If you would also head to twitter.com/CobraBloom where you'll find, no, I'm just kidding. Head to Twitter @PennyBloomPod. Follow there. Follow on Instagram @PennyBloomPodcast. Yeah. Remember, peace, love, and bloom.